Welcome to another deep dive. Today we'll be exploring the world of Indian literature in English. It's a rich and fascinating tradition, one that really reflects India's own journey.
Oh, absolutely. From colonialism to independence, the search for identity, it's all there. It's really a reflection of India itself, its complexities and triumphs.
So, to really understand it, we need to go back to the beginning, back to the time of the British East India Company.
Right. They came to India, with this mission to, quote unquote, educate and civilize the natives.
And their goal, of course, was to create a class of Indians who could help them administer the colony.
Exactly. They needed intermediaries, people who could bridge the gap between the British rulers and the Indian population.
And that's where English education comes in.
Right. It was all part of a grand plan.
And this brings us to Thomas Macaulay and that infamous minute on Indian education from 1835.
Ah, yes, Macaulay. He really wanted to mold Indian minds, shape them according to a British model.
So he envisioned a class of Indians who were, and I'm quoting here, English in taste, in opinions, in words, and intellect.
Wow, what a statement. It was a very deliberate strategy of cultural assimilation.
Right. The idea was to use English as a tool for control. But here's the thing. Indians took that very language and turned it into a weapon of resistance.
It's amazing, isn't it? They used the language of the colonizer to challenge the very system of colonization itself.
And that's how we see this incredible literary renaissance emerge.
It's really a testament to the power of language, how it can be used to fight for freedom, to express dissent, to shape a new narrative.
A great example is Mahatma Gandhi's Hind Swaraj.
Oh, yes, Highness Farage, written in 1909.
Such a powerful critique of Western civilization and a passionate call for self-rule.
And it resonated so deeply with the Indian people.
Instead of embracing the quote-unquote benefits of British rule, Gandhi challenged its very foundation.
And he inspired a whole generation to fight for independence.
And alongside Gandhi, we have figures like Sri Aurobindo.
A true revolutionary. A poet, a philosopher, a visionary.
His writings, especially in his journal Bande Mataram, were infused with this spirit of resistance.
He really advocated for complete independence, even more radical than many others at the time.
It's remarkable how these early writers used the language of the colonizer to fight back.
They understood the power of language, and they weren't afraid to use it.
But it wasn't just prose. We can't forget the poets, especially Rabindranath Tagore.
Ah, Tagore, a Nobel laureate. His work was so powerful, so universal in its appeal.
His vision of a world free from oppression, from division, from fear, his poem Where the Mind is Without Fear from Gitanjali, it just captures that longing for a better world.
He recognized that true freedom went beyond just political independence.
It was about liberating the mind itself, from fear, from prejudice, from all those things that hold us back.
He was a true visionary, and his work continues to inspire people around the world.
And along with Tagore, we have Sarojini Naidu.
A powerful voice, both for India's independence and for the rights of women.
She really challenged those traditional societal norms that restricted women.
Her poetry was full of passion, of patriotism, of a deep commitment to social justice.
So we see how this early period of Indian literature in English was shaped by this struggle against colonialism.
But it also laid the groundwork for what was to come, the search for identity, the exploration of new themes and new voices.
So we've talked about how Indian authors used English to resist colonial rule, but then India gained independence in 1947. What happened then? What did this post-independence era look like in terms of literature?
Well, independence brought a whole new set of complexities, right? There were so many challenges.
I bet. Like what kinds of things?
Like, the trauma of partition, for one, and then trying to build a nation and all the social inequalities that still needed to be addressed.
Right. Huge issues. So how was all this reflected in the literature of the time?
Well, a lot of writers really grappled with these issues, like, for instance, R.K. Narayan.
Oh, yeah, Narayan. He's great. I love his work. He really captures that everyday life in India, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He often focused on small towns, and like the subtle ways that tradition and modernity were kind of clashing.
It's like those small towns become a microcosm of the larger changes happening across India.
Exactly. A perfect example is his novel, The Vendor of Sweets. It's about a traditional sweet maker, and his son who comes back from America with all these modern ideas.
That sounds really interesting. What happens?
Well, the son, Molly, he wants to build a factory, mass produce the sweets.
I can see where that's going to cause some tension.
Oh, it totally does. The father, Jagan, he's like, no way. That's not how you make sweets. There's no soul in that.
There's that generational clash, right?
Yeah.
The old ways versus the new.
Yeah, it's really a classic story. But Narayan tells it with such a gentle humor. He never oversimplifies anything.
It sounds like he has a real knack for finding the extraordinary in the ordinary.
He does. He makes you really see the complexities of Indian society, even in those little everyday moments.
So we have Narayan focusing on those subtle cultural shifts, and then you have Mulk Rajanand. He took a very different approach, didn't he?
Very different. Anand was much more direct. He was really a social critic. He wanted to expose the injustices that were still happening even after independence.
Like what sorts of things?
Oh, like the caste system,
Mm.
poverty, exploitation. He really shone a light on those issues.
And his writing style reflects that, right? It's
Okay.
much more raw, more in your face.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's no sugarcoating with Anand. He wants you to feel it, the harsh realities that a lot of people were facing.
It sounds like his work was really important in raising awareness about those issues.
It was. He was a powerful voice for the marginalized communities in India.
So we've got these two really distinct perspectives on post-independence India. Narayan with his gentle observations, and Anand with his stark social critiques.
And then you have women writers like Nayantara Sahgal and Shashi Deshpande who add even more layers to the conversation.
That's right. They bring their own unique perspectives to the table. What can you tell us about Sahgal? I know she came from a very privileged background.
She did. She was a member of the Nehru-Gandhi family.
Wow, that's fascinating. So how did that influence her writing?
Well, it gave her a very unique perspective, right? She was kind of an insider in the world of Indian politics.
So she could really see behind the curtain, so to speak.
Exactly. And she wasn't afraid to expose the hypocrisies and the power struggles that were going on.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And then we have Shashi Deshpande. She focuses on the lives of women, right?
She does, particularly urban, educated, middle-class women, trying to find their place in a rapidly changing society.
It sounds like she's exploring those universal themes of identity and belonging.
She is. Her novel, That Long Silence, is a beautiful example of that. It's about a woman who's kind of struggling with societal expectations and her own desires.
It's that age-old struggle, isn't it? Trying to balance who you are with what society expects of you.
It is. And Deshpande captures it so well.
So both Sahgal and Deshpande are giving voice to those experiences that are often silenced, right? The experiences of women, the complexities of politics and power.
They are. And they're doing it in such powerful and nuanced ways.
And then, of course, we can't talk about post-independence India without talking about partition.
Oh, absolutely. Partition. It was such a defining moment in India's history.
It left such a deep scar, didn't it? And its impact is felt throughout the literature of this period.
Oh, it is. Writers like Khushwant Singh, Salman Rushdie, they really grappled with the legacy of partition.
Singh's train to Pakistan is just heartbreaking. It really captures the brutality and the chaos of that time.
It does. He doesn't shy away from the horrors of it.
And then you have Rushdie's Midnight's Children. It's a very different kind of novel, right?
Very different. It's more magical realism. It's this epic story that follows children born at the exact moment of India's independence.
I love that idea. It's like they embody the hopes and anxieties of a newborn nation.
Exactly. And Rushdie uses that to explore all these different facets of Indian identity and history.
It's a much more fantastical approach to dealing with partition, wouldn't you say?
It is, but it's still incredibly powerful. And it really makes you think about the nature of history, how we remember it, how it shapes us.
It's like he's saying that history is more than just facts and dates. It's about stories and perspectives.
Right. And that's something that's really important to remember, especially when we're talking about something as complex and traumatic as partition. There are so many different stories, so many different truths, and it's the literature that helps us to see that.
So we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? We've gone from the early days of Indian literature in English, with its roots in colonial resistance.
To the post-independence era, with all its complexities and challenges.
And now we're going to venture beyond the borders of India itself.
Into the world of the diaspora, Indian writers who are living and working all over the globe.
It's like a whole other chapter in this literary journey.
It is, and it's a fascinating one. These writers, they're carrying India with them wherever they go.
It makes you think about what it means to belong, right? Especially when
Yeah.
you're caught between two worlds.
Exactly. And one writer who really embodies that complexity is V.S. Naipaul.
Oh, yeah, Naipaul. He's a Nobel Prize winner, right?
He is. He was born in Trinidad to Indian parents. And his work often deals with themes of colonialism, cultural identity, all the things that come with being an immigrant.
His relationship with India was really interesting, wasn't it? Kind of a love-hate thing.
It was. He was very critical of India, which sometimes got him into trouble.
I can imagine.
Mm.
But there's no denying the power of his writing. I remember reading A House for Mr. Biswas in college.
Oh, that's a great novel.
It's about this man who's constantly trying to find his place in the world, to build a home for himself, both literally and figuratively.
And he's struggling against all these societal pressures, right? The weight of tradition, the expectations of his family.
It really resonated with me, that feeling of being an outsider, of trying to figure out where you belong.
It's a universal theme, and Naipaul captures it beautifully.
And speaking of writers who explore those themes of identity and belonging, we can't forget Salman Rushdie.
Ah, yes. Rushdie, a master storyteller.
He's really pushed the boundaries of literature, hasn't he? With his use of magical realism, his blending of history and fantasy.
He has. And his work has often been very controversial.
Oh, definitely. The satanic verses, that caused a huge uproar. But I think it's his novel Midnight's Children that really put him on the map.
Absolutely. It's a brilliant novel, so imaginative, and it really captures the energy and the chaos of post-independence India.
It's like he created a whole new world,
Yeah.
this blend of reality and fantasy.
He did, and he coined this term imaginary homelands to describe the way exiled writers, people who've been forced to leave their homes, they create these new versions of the places they've left behind.
I love that idea, that we carry these imaginary homelands within us.
It's a way of holding on to our memories, our culture, our sense of who we are.
It's like we're building bridges between worlds, aren't we? The past and the present, the homeland and the adopted country.
Exactly. And Amitav Ghosh, he does this really well in his novels, too.
Gosh. Oh, yeah, he's the one who writes those sweeping historical novels, right?
He does. His books often span continents and time periods. He's really interested in how history and global forces shape individual lives.
His Ibis trilogy is amazing. It's set in the 19th century during the opium trade between India and China.
And he follows all these different characters, right? From sailors to traders to convicts. And their lives are all intertwined.
It's like a tapestry, all these different threads coming together to create this rich and complex picture.
It is, and it makes you realize how interconnected we all are, how events from the past can still have repercussions today.
It's a reminder that history isn't just something that happened a long time ago. It's still shaping our lives today.
It is, and that's one of the things that makes literature so powerful, right? It helps us to understand the past, to make sense of the present, to imagine the future.
Well, we've certainly done a lot of that today, haven't we? We've explored so many different facets of Indian literature in English.
From the earliest expressions of resistance against colonial rule to the complex and evolving voices of the Indian diaspora.
It's been a real journey.
Yeah.
And I hope it's inspired you to explore this literary tradition even further. There are so many amazing writers out there.
There are, and so many stories waiting to be discovered.
So, until our next deep dive, happy reading.